So today I woke up and I was barely getting used to the light in the morning when I was opening my eyes, and I hear the words, "Hey, Julian Assange is free." I said, "What?" So I had to I got up from bed with more energy than normal because of that, and while I was preparing my coffee, I was already diving into the news, going to this outlets, kind of Google News, Portuguese version of it. It compiles a lot of news outlets in one platform, a lot of titles. A lot of people only read those, by the way. And so I went to see, and I realized that the news, although good, and I did see a short video of Assange walking, without being dragged by guards or policemen, and getting in an airplane. And I also saw read declarations from his wife, thanking all the people that had participated, because there has been always a movement of people that support Julian Assange, and these people have been. Do you have this notion that these people have been on this fight for 12 years now? 12 years. Because many news record, he's been in captivity for 1,900 days, about 5 years. But 5 years were only in the maximum security prison in England, in Britain. So, and I already read comments. People are already fighting, right? It's this normal thing from social media. Morons will be morons, and especially on social media. So people arguing, making the comparison with this other dude, Navalny, which has nothing to do with Julian Assange, nothing at all. Navalny was a puppet of the USA, trying to subvert and organize a potential color revolution inside Russia. He was actually, when he died, he was actually doing a favor to his sponsors, because he was useless otherwise, while Julian Assange was simply put to jail because of doing real journalism. You can dive into the details. I've seen other assholes also claiming, accused of this and accused of that, and you remember this sex abuse accusations. These were the first ones, when they were doing this character assassination in the early days, while he was still trapped in the Ecuadorian embassy. Of course, none of that was true. And there were accusations of him conspiring to reveal secret documents. You know what he revealed, right? He revealed the crimes of the United States, for example, in Iraq and Afghanistan. He revealed the whole ordeal, the true goals of these wars. So he revealed the intention, not only the intentions, but the conduct of soldiers and officers in these scenarios. And of course, if this was being done by a country which is now seen as the enemy of the West, either China, either Russia. This would be, I mean, there would be a cascade every day. They would slap you in the face from morning to nightfall with this every day of your life until you dream about it. Of course, it was the United States, and we know the United States does these things, right? So I really, sometimes I feel already sorry for the people when we argue about this liberty and freedom things. They are formatted, they are brainwashed, they only know 3 words, like North Korea, China, Russia, North Korea, China, Russia. They only know like 3 or 4 words in their heads, it's enough. That's the whole vocabulary they have. Victims of brainwash, unfortunately. But anyway, one of the arguments from one of these dudes, normally anonymous accounts on the internet, in Twitter and shit, who was like, yeah, but at least he got freed, while in Russia, the other guy got killed. I don't know what is worse. If it's the stupidity of these people, I don't think they ever read or know anything about what they're talking about. Because I will tell you that Julian Assange, I was reading everything I could read today out on the news. So I found out that Julian Assange was only set free because he agreed to plead guilty on the charge of conspiracy to reveal secret documents. Do you know what this means? He's been under torture for 12 years altogether, but the last 5 years in a maximum security prison, in a cubicle, inside a cubicle, confined, not being allowed to speak to anyone. How long would you endure this torture before you break? How long, I ask you? You, the critic. I even saw one guy writing on Twitter. I mean, this guy's, for me, forgive my lack of democracy, but I would put these guys straight in a poll, firing squad. I mean, some things, stupidity needs to be, there need to be set limits to stupidity, right? So this, I even read this one guy saying, because he was accused, so you don't speak about Assange now, because he's one of those outraged about the people that the United States tells him to be outraged about. And someone asked him, so what about Assange? And he replies, who? The Putin puppet? You see, right? You see how far stupidity can go, or how far people can sell out just to say shit. The world doesn't get any better with these people, with this kind of people. And so Assange was tortured until he pled guilty. So he was coerced to plead guilty. Do you know this kind of procedure, right? Oh, people, they were convicted to death, but they are only convicted to death after they confess. Where have I seen this before? Have you read the novel, the famous novel of George Orwell of 1984? What happened to the main character? Right? After he endured all the torture, and then he was finally set free. Well, I don't know if it's gonna happen exactly like to that character, but he's not free from assassination, and he's not free at all, because he was free on bail after signing this agreement of admitting guilt. Of course he's innocent. So he was coerced, he was tortured during years. What have you, Mr. Defensor of Western democracy, to say about this? Mr. Accuser of Russia and North Korea. And of course, the information that is set free through WikiLeaks really gives you a perspective on how the empire works. Really gives you the clarity and the certainty to accuse the empire of being an empire first and foremost, and not a democracy where every opinion is respected and the majority decides and all this bullshit. Torture, stealing, killings of civilians. Sorry, the mosquito in my car. And of course he also explained that the war in Afghanistan, the purpose was not to win or to completely dominate Afghanistan. The purpose was huge money laundering and so a lot of other businesses, dark illegal businesses. See, this on behalf not of some group, not of some street gang or of some so-called, petty dictator, or no, on the behalf of the big institution which is the government of the United States, and of course its branches. So yeah, it is not over for Assange, although I was really happy to see him walk, and I hope and I think he will be able finally to see his children, who only known of his father in prison, and to finally see his wife. I cannot imagine the pain they've been through, and all for what? An innocent person which has done a great service to the community, has done a great service to the public. So this is when you think I had this discussion many times. If you live in the West and you think that, no, it's much better to live in the West because we can talk all we want, and in Russia, if we do that, we go to prison, or in China. Yeah, you can talk all you want as long as you talk shit. The moment you become consequent, the moment your words have true consequence, the moment you pinch in the right spot of the beast will awake and will take you. Because if you can go to the local cafe and talk all the shit you want and be stupid as you want. You can offend your neighbors, do whatever, shit on the roof of your car, whatever. Little will happen to you. But if you do similar to Julian Assange and your work becomes consequent and of real value to the majority, when you step on the foot of the beast will take you. This is how it happens. And yeah, it's a relative freedom. It's almost like a fake freedom, because even in local affairs it is like that. I mean, most likely in a country like Portugal or in many parts of Europe, they won't take you in. But if you start to attack, especially if you're right, attack the wrong persons, you will have your life in a mess. Problems will come to you big time. So that's the degree of freedom. It's not like in the old days, where if they suspected that you were conspiring or just saying bad things, using bad words about the government, they would visit your home and take you in for interrogation. It doesn't happen anymore like that. It happens in a more smarter way, because they realize that they don't need to suppress the morons if they are just one or two morons going about, or they are going about their lives separately. But if they have one intelligent guy who can move the masses and be consequent in his words and deeds, he will be taken care of. So yeah, and the other topic I wanted to talk about today was the attacks, the terrorist attacks that took place, not the ones in Dagestan, because I haven't read enough about those, but the ones in Crimea, apparently the more obviously state-sponsored ones. And there are a lot of I read a lot of articles in Telegram channels, Russian Telegram channels, and I tell you one thing, because with all this conflict, with all this animosity, with all this propaganda from the West inciting hatred towards Russians, one thing you don't see, well, you haven't seen so far, it's the other way around. So it's hatred from Russians toward Americans, for example. But I think if they want to change this, if Americans and NATO want to change this, they are heading in the right direction, because this ATACMS missiles loaded with cluster munition, killing people at the beach, or there are claims that they were trying to hit a church. This is, Russian society won't take this forever. And for some of you who think that it's like Russia is this ruthless dictatorship, blah, 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 it's not a democracy, for some of you who believe this fairy tale, I tell you that Russia has been very complacent, and the measures that he has been taking to counter all the aggression from the West have been very light, and they have been very light according to the Russians itself. I met a lot of Russians who were much more. You say bad things. You say that Putin is like a devil or something, but you don't realize that a lot of criticism inside. The biggest criticism is not this bullshit Navalny group. This guy is nothing. This guy was nothing. He represented nothing. He could not achieve anything. The biggest criticism towards Vladimir Putin in Russia are the hardliners, are the ones that would do much worse in response to the aggressive stance of the West, are the ones who prefer to have finished the job in 2015 in Ukraine instead of signing the second Minsk Accord, are the ones who would have been taken at least half of Ukraine by now, using massive force and not just tactical victories here and there, and try not to lose and not to have too many casualties and not to create much of a fuss in the West, always bearing in mind also his allies. For example, one of the things that Russian foreign policy has in mind, even when it's doing its war in Ukraine, its special military operation, is that it doesn't want to go too far. And one of the reasons is that it respects it has created a network of friendships throughout the world. It's far from isolated, and it respects the opinion of these countries. It sees it respects its alliances, it respects his trade pacts, commitments in general, and so it doesn't want to be too aggressive, and it doesn't want to fall on the wrong side of its allies. Which country does not do this? Can you tell me? Which country is the opposite? Who doesn't give a shit about what its allies say? Who is ready to bully its own allies? Who is ready to attack and destroy infrastructure in allied countries? Can you tell me? Can you tell the difference between the both? See, so it's absurd. It's absurd to keep saying this or keep creating this image of Russia. And I mean, and all the commitment that the West now is taking in Ukraine itself, it should be enough to tell you that the the intentions of the West there are just are not about Ukraine or human values or defending democracy. It's just the continuing of their plan against Russia. And yeah, it's a big escalation, and of course the Russians realize this. They will not. This has no military meaning. Attack on civilians. I really don't know the purpose. Well, actually I do. But it's not like we're gonna make people make a revolution because they are unhappy because they get bombarded by the West. No. The only effect this has is that people galvanize around their president and around their government. We've seen this in the elections. But what I have defended here, my opinion, as I stated here before, previously, I am more and more sure that the objective is to keep provoking the Russians so the Russians escalate hugely on their side. This is the true goal. And attacks on civilians seems to be another line to cross. A new thing to do. Terrorist attacks, attacks on civilian targets with missiles. And then when Russia finally loses its patience and does something, there will be zillions of fake reporters and news outlets just prepared to aim the cameras and write all that good bullshit that we are used to, and give finally the reason for the US to get in the war more openly. I mean, and one of these things is that Russia actually knows when these attacks in Crimea are going to take place, because the Americans keep flying their global hawks in the Black Sea. 2 of them have been shot down already by Russia, but I don't know whatever talks they conducted in the backstage, but they keep doing it, and the Russians keep not declaring no-fly zone over the Black Sea. Of course, this would be an escalation of the part of the Russians, but if they insist in not doing it, they will keep suffering. Okay, I would really love to have this analysis done in the studio with support of text. I'm sure I forgot a lot of things and details, but I hope you get the general idea, and I really hope also that I see you on the next one. because I gotta get to work now. It's the night shift.